Hey, what is up, nation? In this session, we're going to be looking at a question that was asked on the SketchUp forum by I'm Edub, who asks, how do I completely clean out the file while preserving my scene so I can minimize my file size? Let's get into that after the intro. Okay, so I've brought in a file from the 3D warehouse. It was actually made by a gentleman named ArcRay. I'll post a link in the description below if you want to check out this model and some of his work. You can do that. And this particular scenario may not be the best, but let's say you get a file from a client and this was made by an interior designer, and now you're the architect on it, so you want to get rid of some of this stuff and then reduce your file size. Or in this particular case, maybe the file size is just crazy and you want to just bear it down to the bring it down to the smallest amount. Or the third scenario would be, a lot of times if you use stuff from the 3D warehouse, you start adding components in and it's like not quite right, not what you were looking for, and so you delete it, but that instance of the component actually stays in the model. So if you do that over and over and over again, it can really increase your file size. So what we're going to do in this is we're actually going to delete those components so we can reduce your file size. That way when you load up at the beginning, it'll be faster, and when you work, it'll be faster. If you look over on your default tray, you can see there is a file or a flyout tab called Components, and in here we have a few different things. Now we're inside this group at the moment, so I'm just going to delete some different components that are inside of this. Let's say we didn't need these, or we wanted to do our own design for them. So I'm just going to delete all of this stuff, delete these guys, and before I hit save, I'm just going to show you the file size. So you see here we're a little bit over 11,000 kilobytes. So in here, if I hit save after deleting those, the file size might change a little bit. So it changes a little bit, but it's still over, I think it's still over 11,000. So a slight change, but the file size didn't really change because those components are still in this file. So if we want to actually reduce the size of the file from those things, you just go to Window, Model Info, and then there's the statistics column over here. Now, I want to make sure that that I point out that when you go to do this, you want to make sure that you save a copy. Maybe that's a copy that you don't ever open again, but you just want to make sure that if there's a component that you actually really need and you accidentally deleted it, that you have a way to go back and get it. So before you do this, make sure that you save a copy as, just so you have a backup in case anything goes awry, because once you do this step, there's no going back. Unless you can do Control Z to go back, but yeah, once you save this and you exit, that's it. So I have this little thing up here that says Show Nested Components. That's just going to help us really visualize what's going on. And then down here, if you ever need to fix problems, you can always do that. But the real magic here is going to be with Purge Unused. It's going to click that, and it doesn't really look like anything happened in this. Sometimes it will, but in this particular case, it doesn't look like anything happened. But what it did is it got rid of all the components that we weren't using. So if I hit save here, let me exit out of this, hit save, and then we go back to our file size. You can see that now our SketchUp file is greatly reduced. It's almost 4 times smaller than what we previously had. So just by getting rid of that stuff, it just super helped our file size, and this is going to be way quicker to open, way easier to work within, and if your file sizes are getting massive, this is a great step that you can take to really reduce them. You can also reduce the file size of any models that you've made using the web version of SketchUp as well. You look over here on the right hand side, you can see that there's this little toolbar. All you have to do is click this little, these 3 little boxes that'll bring your component flyout out. Now this particular model, I don't have any other components, so we won't see this actually work. But in your model, if you want to purge some of these unused components, you just come over here to this little recycling icon. You can see when I mouse over it, it says Purge Unused Components. You just click that, and that will get rid of any of the unused components that you have in your model. So hopefully this helped. If you liked this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. And as always, happy hacking.
All right, designers, just because this episode of Designer Hacks is over doesn't mean we're leaving you out in the cold. Tony's got tons of great content available at designerhacks.com. So join Design Nation right now, and we'll see you on the next episode of Designer Hacks.